When we're trying to name compounds, it's important that we use the right set of rules. There are two different sets of rules, those for ionic compounds and those for covalent. So the first thing we need to do is determine if the compound we're looking at is ionic or covalent. Ionic compounds always contain metals. So let's underline the ionic compounds on the screen right now. Contains aluminium, contains sodium, calcium, iron, potassium, and zinc. So these are our ionic compounds on the screen. All of the other compounds are covalent because they don't have any metals in them. Ionic compounds always start with the metal's name, and then what we need to do is identify the anion that it is grouped with. We can do this from memory, but in the beginning you might like to use your tables. The tables for ionic compounds contain the common names of negative ions or polyatomic ions. These polyatomic ions are ions that contain more than one type of atom. Here is our list of ionic compounds from the previous page. The first thing to do is identify the metal. In this first ionic compound, the metal is aluminium. Coupled with aluminium is a symbol for chlorine. When we are naming ionic compounds, the anion's name always ends in "ide" for any element in the periodic table. So chlorine becomes chloride. You can also see this in your anion or negative ion table below. So the name of this compound would be aluminium chloride. The second compound has a metal sodium. It is coupled with capital N, capital O, 3. This is a polyatomic anion, and its name is nitrate. You can see this in the table below. So this compound's name is sodium nitrate. Each ionic compound is named the same way. First, we work out the metal that the ionic compound contains, and then we work out the name of the anion or polyatomic ion it is grouped with, using the tables. This one has the metal potassium and the polyatomic ion carbonate, so its name is potassium carbonate. This is calcium sulfate, zinc phosphate, and iron hydroxide. Now let's have a look at our covalent compounds. Remember, covalent compounds don't have a metal in them, but they are named in a similar way. The first element's name does not change. The second element's name always ends in an "ide." We must also ensure that we give the actual number of the elements that are present in the compound, and for this we use a specific prefix. Let's look at the first compound that we have. This compound contains sulfur and oxygen. Sulfur's name will not change, and because the element is first and there is only one of them, we do not need to use the prefix mono. We simply call this sulfur, and because there are two oxygens, we use the prefix di, sulfur dioxide. If the number changes, we use a different prefix. This is still sulfur. This is fluorine. Fluorine's name will change to fluoride. As sulfur is first, and there's only one of them, we do not need to use the prefix mono. The prefix for 6 is hexa. So this is sulfur hexafluoride. Here we have 1 phosphorus and 4 chlorine. Chlorine's name will change to chloride. We do not need to use the prefix mono for the first element. So this is phosphorus tetrachloride. This one looks the same, so it is carbon tetrachloride. Here we have nitrogen and oxygen. There is only one oxygen, and because it is the second element, we will need to use the prefix mono. Here though, the extra O gets knocked off. So this is nitrogen monoxide. Here is another compound that contains nitrogen and oxygen. However, the first element now has two, so we need to put that into our name. This is dinitrogen pentaoxide. Similarly, this is dinitrogen dioxide. Thanks for watching.